Hello, everybody. I'm Jennifer Dunn, founder and co-owner of Bunifu Learning for Life.
Good morning. I'm Maurice Dunn, also co-founder and owner of Bunifu.
We are so excited to invite you to essentially our third virtual meeting. This year, we decided to do something a little bit different where we're not taking up a lot of your time by doing an on-demand recording, but also sending out some pre-reading prior to our mix and mingle Q&A. And so hopefully you're tuning in prior to the Q&A, so you're ready to ask any questions of us. But this year's theme is Light Up 2023. And what we're doing is we have a little bit of a different focus. We're not providing you essentially professional development or an overview of like where we are as the status of our business. But we have sat down for a little while, over 4 months, to draw up a 3-year strategic plan. And I just want to give a shout out to Marissa Jackson, who helped with the drafting of this plan, also helped with the monitoring to help essentially put this package together so we could deliver to you today. She's been essential to the organization, and I'm very excited to be able to basically launch this strategic plan for 2023 through 2025. So what we're planning on doing is we're going to talk about the purpose of the strategic plan, how we were like a guiding light to help us get to the start, to the finish of the drafting of this plan. And then we're going to talk just a little bit about the company overview and organizational structure. We have changed quite a bit as far as our organizational structure, and we just want to make sure all of you are informed of what products and services that we provide here at Bunifu. Then we'll really dive in deep to strategic goals and a financial analysis as well. And then we'll talk about how we're going to monitor and evaluate the plan, the strategic plan over the 3 years, because it's not just that you write something down on paper, but it's something to make sure that it's delivered, and it's delivered by fidelity. Also, we're going to talk just a little bit about the environmental scan. And essentially, this recording is not an in-depth detail about each feature of the strategic plan. You need to make sure that you either print it out or you download it and you review it before the mix and mingle that we're having for the Q&A. So just to talk a little bit really quickly about our Bunifu's products and services, we, of course, most of you know that we provide custom products for digital e-learning solutions. So we're doing self-paced courses, sometimes synchronous courses, and mostly asynchronous courses for many of our clients through Articulate Storyline, and we're doing some video editing as well. Professional services, we have just started some training and professional development where we're doing some synchronous training that might be just like we're doing now through video conferencing, but also we're going out on site and now doing some professional development training for both educators, government agencies, and businesses. We also have what we call an online learning hub, and we call it the Bunifu Learning Institute. The Institute actually launched probably about 2 years ago, and it's essentially self-paced courses that can be purchased online on various topics from adult courses to teen courses, even some elementary focused literacy courses that we have that's on our website. And then we have a knowledge hub. This is all free to membership folks or people who just want to come to our website and learn more about our program and services. We have such things as podcasts, webinars, blogs, as well as downloadable all of our archived newsletters, some journals and publications that we have done as an organization are free and downloadable for many of our clients or customers or whoever visits our website. We do want to say that we have focused around K-12 framework. You can learn more about it if you go to the strategic plan. There is a framework from what we do that guides us for our K-12 K-12 work that we do with elementary, high schools, middle schools, and high schools and district offices. We also have a corporate and business framework that we work with new businesses as well as businesses that have been long-term standing and providing them training and development. And then if you look at the right here, cultural responsive and sustaining practices, apprenticeship learning, and just-in-time learning. These are essentially our unique proposition, or what makes us different from other e-learning companies, is that we want to make sure that our work is culturally responsive or competent, that we're able to engage a diverse audience, affirming their learning environment, and also holding very high expectations for the products and services that we provide. We also want to make sure that our learning is hands-on. So we call it the apprenticeship learning, where it's more about how we are providing knowledge in a hands-on experiential experience where learners are learning through that type of modeling. And then we want to make sure that the work that we do is micro-learning, that it's quick learning, that it's not a course that takes forever, that it's a course where people can just take it. It's just-in-time learning. It relates to what they're doing every day. It connects to what they're doing every day. And so they can then walk away from the course and actually implement the skills that they have mastered. Just a little bit of our organizational structure. So all of you pretty much know that we are e-learning companies. So therefore we have a project team, and the project team is our project manager who manages all the pieces of the project, the instructional designer, the curriculum writer, the learning architect who essentially helps out with learning management systems or just systems in general that we may encounter when we go into an organization, because there's so many things out there, but how do we integrate it to make sure it's the best experience for the learner? We have a copy editor, voice actor, and animation and AI designer. Now, this is basically the bread and butter of our customized e-learning courses. And there's a video about the teamwork. I think most of you have seen the project phases and teamwork. We have about 2 full-time staff, that's Maurice and myself, 1 part-time staff, which is Tisha, Kuti, and then we have 15 subcontractors that help support this work. And we do have a sales associate now that's part of that functioning team overall. That's part-time that works with us. So we're planning on changing this organizational structure to meet some of the goals in our strategic plan. So we really need you to pay very, very close attention to the content in the strategic plan, because you may fit in somewhere else. Your role may change, and we may need your support in another capacity. And we want you to be able to grow here at Bunifu. So we want you to be able to have options in where you want to grow and develop. So I put this quote on here because we as co-owners believe that our strategic partners are most important to the work that we do. Yes, the strategic plan is about sales, and Maurice is going to talk all about finance and operations and technology upgrades, but we cannot function. Maurice and I cannot do it by ourselves. We need human capital for us to thrive. All of these pieces here, they all depend on having the right people in the right places and doing the right things. And so as we move into 2023 to 2025 for this strategic plan, we need you to think about, where is the right place for you to be? Okay, it may not be in your current role. Is it something that you want to explore? Or is it something that you don't want to explore? You may want to decide to go to another opportunity, which is fine. But we are going to be changing, and we want to make sure that all of you have the options to be on board to move forward. Anything else that you want to add to this?
I don't have anything.
So the pieces here is now we're going to get into the strategic plan, and then we're going to talk about, I like to call these the guiding lights. Now, many of you should have gotten your package. Now, your package included a flashlight, a Bunifu pen, and also a card with a QR code that you could download the book, the strategic plan booklet. But I like to call these 3 steps our guiding lights. This is what guided us through the planning and drafting of this process. So step 1, establish strategic priorities that align Bunifu's overall vision, mission, and values with the current landscape environmental factors. The very beginning of the strategic plan talks about what is going on politically, what's going on socially in the world, what's going on globally, and how it impacts our overall vision and mission. So everything that we created is based on an analysis. We did a full research on why we should go through the goals and steps that we did through that environmental scan. We're not going to go in depth in the environmental scan. This is something for you to read and look at the organizational structure and the environmental scan, which is on the first couple of pages within the book, which is page 2 and page 5 and 14 through the environmental scan. Step 2, we created annual goals. Okay, so the annual goals essentially go from 23, 24 to 25. They all build on one another. So we have to build the foundation, and then we're building another piece onto that foundation, and then hopefully have a full building that we can then move forward. And so we're hoping to achieve this in a 3-year period. So you'll see the goals related over 3-year annual goals. Then step 3, the last step that guided us, was determining the steps for ongoing monitoring. We believe that making sure that we're monitoring and evaluating every step. So because we may need to change. A goal may need to change, or we need to change something the way that we're roadmap, and it's important that we are effective in how we evaluate our progress, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So I'm going to go over strategic priority number 1. So we had 2 priorities. Strategic priority number 1, expand portfolio of products and services. And what we did is we connected goals for this strategic priority number 1. Marisa is going to go over number 2, but I'm going to start with number 1. Now, when we talk about expands portfolio of products and services, we're talking about how we're taking our existing products and services and making them better, because everybody is not utilizing what we have. Yes, we have customized e-learning courses, but we also already have pre-made courses that is on our Bunifu Institute, and we have training development that we can go out and do face-to-face. But how can we expand that portfolio of products and services, but also make what we already have better, or stop what we're doing? So there's several pieces we looked at for 2023, setting the blueprint. This is essentially just setting the roadmap for us to do that. And the first part is initiating the development of Bunifu Digital Learning Lab. This is actually a brick and mortar. We are looking into purchasing a face-to-face building where we can do hybrid and in-person learning. From our environmental scan, especially in the DC area, we have learned that having a brick and mortar will help support some of the populations for employability, and then also help us to innovate our products and services to be more engaging for our clients and customers. So right now we're setting a blueprint for initiating the development of a face-to-face learning lab, and it will essentially, the target audience will be teenagers as well as adults to help train them on what it is to support the instructional design, customized learning piece. So it'll be a lot of some of those roles that we have talked about that we already have or exist. Then within the blueprint, defining and expand a full inventory. So this is what we're going to do, an environmental scan of what we already have, and then what we need to stop, and then what we need to do. So there's going to be a full environmental scan of how we're going to look at our products and services in that blueprint. In 2024, once we lay that blueprint or that foundation, we're going to build strong networks. So we need to develop a team of local DMV talent that will work at the brick and mortar, but also as hybrid instructors to help support the work of the digital learning lab, and also any staff. We need to implement a cohort and continue education models. This is all about certification to make sure that we are standardized and that our programs and customized learning that we are providing is meeting a certain standard. So we're going to have and implement a cohort model, but also make sure that we have some certifications and standards for accreditation for all of our products and services. And then we're going to, in 2025, we hope to expand our reach and our depth. That means build regional and national credibility. Okay, yes, we have all these great things, but we need to be out telling them. That means going to conferences. That means actually engaging in awards and getting awards for the work that we're doing. If we're doing great instructional or gamification pieces, we need to make sure that we're awarded for those pieces. And so building a national credibility is around how we will do some of those pieces there. And then developing an innovation plan. Ed tech world is changing every day. I read articles all the time. I'm sure Dewey is reading articles and his team, and Rich is reading Miller is always sending me something that's changing on the different platforms for tools and resources to basically create learning. But we need to make sure that we are staying abreast and we are staying current in the work that we are doing to make sure that we can survive as a business, a small business. And so we will be developing in 2025 an innovation plan. So that is strategic priority number 1, expanding our portfolio of products and services. And now Maurice is going to talk to you a little bit about strategic priority number 2, enhance internal efficiencies.
All right, good day, everyone. I'm not sure when you're watching this, so I'm not going to say good morning. I'm just going to say good day, and hopefully that covers everyone that's out there. As Jennifer has already alluded, strategic priority number 2, enhance internal efficiencies. And here's our kind of the same path, the same outline that we use for priority 1 is the same one that we're using for priority 2. 2023 is to set the blueprint, basically create a foundation, and then build our network in 2024. And in 2025, you'll extend reach and also depth. So 2023, define targeted profitability strategies. That is something that we are continuing to do to make sure that our products are meeting the right profit point, the right revenue point in terms of what we see in the market. And we believe that we have a very good product, especially the products that you all are working on are very much top notch and at high standard. And so just trying to figure out the right price point, and then, of course, making sure that the profitability from that is also a standard across the industry, and also keeps us viable as a business as we continue to move and grow. We want to enhance our human resources. We want to get a lot better efficiency in ensuring that all of the from paying you guys to writing your contracts to ensuring all the human resources elements that you see in any of the jobs that you may have had, to make sure that Bunifu is reaching that standard and actually going above that standard. So we want to make sure that we're enhancing our human resources by making all of those processes more efficient through the time. So the first kind of step in that is kind of figuring out where are gaps at, where are we not, meeting the need? Where do we need to become better? We're a small company, but we want to be looked at the level of some of the larger companies. And we know sometimes that's a stretch for us to get there, but that is what we're striving and trying to gain. As we move into 2024, the first step there is hire professionals to manage business operations. For us to grow, we need more projects. We're looking at bringing on a building. There's going to be a lot of different, I guess you could say, lanes or links that are going to be coming out of the kind of central headquarters. And you have to have someone that can manage all of those things and manage them properly and ensure that they're efficient. And so we're going to start moving, some of personnel or gain personnel and moving them into that operational area just because of just growth alone. And we think that's very important that we have that, to have that kind of expertise in operations to ensure that as we're working through these many projects and many different things, that it's being done in an efficient way. We want to build a pipeline of ed tech professionals. Basically, one of the goals that I think what you feel from this company is not just the goals in profit and revenue and things of that nature. We also want to be a strong asset to the community. And so when we talk about digital learning lab and things of that nature, we're talking about building the ed tech professionals of the future, right? And building it in such a way that one, they learn a really cool skill that's going to, take care of them for their lives, but also folks that we can build and potentially bring back into, our organization. Also, this refers to talking about hiring and how do we do hiring and making sure that we're getting the best talent that's out there. We already have a talented group, but you guys only have a capacity to do so much. And so for us to get to the goals that we're looking at, we're going to grow. And for us to grow, we got to make sure that we're bringing in the talent. So we want to self-grow some talent through our digital learning labs kind of process, but also create processes that are going to allow us to go get the talent that's already established and already out there. And that's all part of building a strong network. 2025, revisit allocation of human and material resources. The basically meaning here is to continually grow and look and see where our gaps are, and not just make a plan in 2023 and then say, yep, this is what the plan is going to be from here on out. It's actually measuring and looking at the things that we're establishing now and constantly doing that, and then reinvesting those lessons learned, so to speak, back into the company. And then, of course, build lucrative partnerships. When we talk lucrative partnerships, and one of the things that we also want to do is have an advisory committee and advisory board. And what that is basically people that know a lot more than we know, and help mentor and coach us to where now we can get to the point where our partnerships are at the highest levels possible. Why can't Bunifu be associated with a company like Disney and have some partnership there where we're handling some of their training, or they're referring us to different people to do different things in kind of their space. So when we talk about lucrative partnerships, that's what we're talking about there, along with accessing and gaining capital, right? Being able to get grants and loans and things of that nature so that we can build all the fabulous products and services and projects that you all come up with, that Jennifer comes up with, that I come up with, and actually making those things happen. And it's not just something that's written on paper. So that's our strategic priority number 2 in a nutshell. Enhance internal efficiencies basically allows us to be better externally by taking care of the stuff inside the house.
So, of course, You can't do anything without measuring incremental growth and progress. So this is on page 38. I had to put the page number on there, 38 and 39. So you know exactly how we will be measuring these goals. So for priority number 1, expand priority portfolio of products and services. What we're going to do for goal for our digital learning lab to build that blueprint, we are going to be applying for what we call OSSI HELC, which is the Higher Education License Commission, to basically be a licensed non-degree seeking institution to align to the work plan that we're doing around the digital lab. So that means that we will be acting almost like an educational institution here in the DC area, and then we will expand to other states. But we want to make sure we have all the credentials to be able to operate and function. So that will be how we measure, is getting that first type of accreditation or certification licensure. Goal number 2, defining and expanding full inventory. Yes, we're going to be looking at a portfolio. We're going to look at all our products and services and everything that we are going to do. And we're going to look at it and do an analysis of that. But also part of that is about compliance. ADA compliance, 508 compliance, meaning that all of our products and services will be able to ensure that it is accessible, that it is universal design, and we need to move forward to making sure that all of our products and services can be accessed by everybody. So folks who may have disabilities, and we need to make sure that we have a compliance checklist, that each time we go into a project that, hey, these things are checked, they're going to be done, and that we'll be able to offer that to our clients. Also with that is security. You hear about cybersecurity, and that's like your emails being hacked, or your Google Drive or Workspace. So we are going to put some cybersecurity protocols in place as well to make sure all of our products and services and our assets that we're developing for clients are going to ensure that they have certain protocols put in place. And so those may impact our subcontractors, our strategic partners that are supporting the work, to make sure that all of our we have all of our information that is secure. Goal number 3, developing team and local DMV. We're going to do a hiring plan, and we're hoping to be able to hire 50% of employment by that next year. And then goal 4, implementing a cohort and continuing ed model. We're going to continue to do some accreditations. We're going to be seeking continue the ISET accreditation, which is continuing education credentialing. We're also going to be pursuing CTE, Career Technical Education certification for industry-based certifications. And then for goal 5, build regional and national credibility. We'll be creating a public relations work plan, in which we'll be able to go out throughout the year to basically, promote our credibility and the work that we're doing. Developing an innovation plan, of course, is about how we're innovating. And so we're going to create a plan that will help us to continue innovate, and also making sure that we have awards that are associated to that innovative plan to show our good work and how we're cutting edge.
All right, strategic priority number 2, same thing, how we're going to measure. So some of the things we talked about: profitability, our sales rate, being able to basically turn our qualified leads into sales. We want to continue. We actually have a pretty, high sales rate, and so we want to continue doing that as we expand. And we've already taken some steps in trying to get on, just different lists and different groups and organizations that we can basically receive RFPs and proposals and grants from. We're starting to make moves in that area already. Decrease time in our financial actions. Basically, again, it speaks to efficiencies. The less time that we have to dedicate to doing, kind of those mundane and routine tasks, the more that we can be innovative and we can do different things. Some of the other things, action plan, decrease and manage our taxes, being able to make sure that we're maximizing the taxes here in the United States, and writing off what we can and knowing what is a non-expense and things that we can put in different areas. And so just getting smarter on that too will also help us with some of our profitability. This is all important as we talk about building or getting a building. You have to show profitability. And so how do you do that? Because most of us kind of grow and learn that you try to, write off as much as you can. And so you got to find that right balance. And so that's what we're talking about when we're in that particular area. Human resources, we talked a little bit about that before. It all comes back to the standard operating procedures, developing what those are, finding the standards in the different areas, who does it well, and then figuring out what our gaps are, and then documenting those, and then fixing those would be the primary thing. As we move down to the build strong network, the goals there, hiring plan, job description, being very intentional about how we're hiring people, what level of folks that we need, all of those sorts of things, and doing it in a kind of planned approach, as much as we possibly can, because we know we're in a space that does change quite a bit, but where we can be intentional, we definitely will be. And then revenue to fund the position, pretty self-explanatory. It takes money to make money, right? That's the old adage. And so we got to have the right revenue and the ability to pay for people that are coming on board. The next goal there, recruitment plan, talked about the teen entrepreneurs or teenpreneurs. Again, that speaks to Digital Learning Lab and how we want to create that. The incubator program, we're starting to move in those areas, help people basically build out some of their training programs. And of course, because we're doing that, that puts us out there to where hopefully those folks can come back to us, either with talent or with projects, right? And so that's what we're referring to when we're talking about that. Then we get into later in the goal 2.5 and how we measure that third-party evaluation. Yeah, it's hard to measure and look at things yourselves. At some point, you're going to need somebody else to come in, take a look. The standard bearer that knows the area very well, the particular area we're getting evaluated on, and come in and tell us, hey, these are the things that you need to fix. These are the things that don't make sense. These are the things you're doing very well. And so that's very important. And then as we were talking about with our lucrative partnerships, Fortune 500 companies, and I used the Disney example, we want to continue to grow those partnerships and really start to put our business more national and potentially international as well. And so those are the areas in which we will measure the particular goals in strategic priority number 2, enhance internal efficiencies.
So that's a lot, right? And that's why it can't be us. It's not us. We need human capital. That's you all. If you see something in those priorities that you feel that you could help fill the gap and work on or own, we want to know. Okay. Again, we are going to be measuring incremental growth. And we'll be doing that through our Monday.com project management system. There's several boards that were already doing it. In some ways we're doing it, like our project managers are already really monitoring our projects really well. They have a board. We have a financial KPI board in which we're doing a lot of our profit loss, our taxes. We're monitoring that for this year so we can see incremental growth month to month. Maurice and I are meeting every week and on month and quarterly to make sure that we're meeting and measuring those goals. But we're going to be using Monday.com to basically, we're going to put all of this in and make sure it's integrated in some way to make sure that we're able to see incremental progress of each of those different metrics and goals. But we need support and ownership of those pieces to help gather that information and also implement. So at the end of each quarter, we'll analyze the progress of the indicators documented on the project board, and then we'll generate a quarterly report that evaluates the data and responds to the three evaluation questions. And the evaluation questions that we are looking at are, what did we do well? How can we improve upon what we did well? And what did we learn about ourselves and the environment along the way? So that will bring us to the next question, which we really wanted to dive in deep. We talked a lot about our overall goals and metrics, but we do feel that this is a piece. We have sales, but we have finance, we have human capital and technology and operations, but financial stability is very important. So we wanted to pull this piece out, and Marisa is going to talk about what our goals are for 2023 to 2026 and why we came up with these goals, even when we're doing the environmental scan, as well as, why it is important that we're hitting these benchmarks as we're going through each year.
All right. And if you've been to a couple of these before, you may have seen something very similar. We're kind of still on the same kind of glide path. I'll kind of start on the 2026. The goal profit-wise, revenue-wise is $1 million, right? And we're looking at 2026. And with that, to meet industry margin standards, which are 25%, we want to go above that. We're looking at about 30% profit margin. And so that's where you'll see in 2026, $1 million revenue, we feel like we need to be making $300,000 in profit. Now there's some personal things there, but that is where we're trying to go from a market standpoint. Now, where we are sitting now in 2023 is, you can see that margin is it's a lot lower than what it should be. Okay. And primarily profit margin is determined by your revenue minus your expenses, and then you divide that over your revenue, and that's what gives you the profit margin. So we're spending a lot, and a lot of that is because we're still building the internal parts of the business, and we're also obviously going out and doing projects and things of that nature. And so that's why we keep saying pricing, we got to probably increase that so that we can get the right profit margin. So we need to go from 8.25 in 2023 to up to 30% in 2026. So we're going to kind of keep the same revenue goal. We're going to keep that same glide path, but we got to figure out the pricing and get it at the right point, which in our view is probably increasing the pricing, but it's still got to be within the market arena. And how's that impact you? Obviously, as we're looking at rates and things of that nature, we're determining that based on what the market states. Because if the market states that this is the amount, that's what these clients and customers are going to look at when they're going to say, hey, is Bunifu a company that we want to be in business with? And we need to make sure that we're in line with that. We're still a young company. We do feel like we have a highly effective product, and it should be priced higher. But you got to prove that, and you got to get into the door, right? And so to get into the door, we need to probably be right where the market is at. So when we're looking at rates, again, we're evaluating that based on a lot of times what the market is telling us. And then since we're a national company and we can do business throughout the country, we also got to look at the rates at that particular area as well, right? So yeah, you might live in New York, you might live in DC, and the rate is way up here, but we're doing business in Tennessee, so just take that in mind, right? So we got to look at ways to kind of decrease our expenses. Other ways of decreasing our expenses is just streamlining our processes, automating our processes, making sure that they're efficient and we're not spending a whole lot of money in making sure that they're good to go. So we need, one financial platform. We need, one project management platform, one platform that, does our contacts and sales and things of that nature, and becoming efficient in that manner. That's why the standard operating procedures are important too, because we want to make sure we're doing the same thing over and over again, and it's the most efficient way possible versus, changing up for this group, changing up for this group. That stuff takes time and it takes money essentially. Other things that you'll see there, evaluate profitability for all activities. So, Jennifer briefly talked about it earlier. The point of a strategic plan, she's using the term guiding light. It's a guiding post, right? So we need to bring projects in that actually work within the strategic plan, right? So if I come in and say, yeah, somebody down the street told me that we could sell watermelon to the people driving to work every day, I should bring that project into the strategic plan and then say, hey, where does that fit? Is that something that has anything to do with e-learning? Okay, no. All right, then that's out the window, right? Now, that's an extreme example to get to a point. Like, we need to stay focused in a particular area for a period of time to the point of where we can really evaluate it, and then we can make an adjustment at that point. So this strategic plan is a 3-year strategic plan. We're going to evaluate it quarterly. So you're looking at, we shouldn't be changing anything, at least for 90 days. We should be going down a particular path and staying on that path for that 90 days till we get to the first evaluation point. And then, oh, okay, this makes sense, or no, this doesn't make sense. So the strategic plan is going to guide us to say, yep, that project sounds great, but that's not really a Bunifu project. And that probably should be, thrown out the window. I'll give you a personal example. We have a contract now that we run the payroll for. It's not really an e-learning project, right? But we're spending a lot of time in it. And so therefore, that's probably a project, maybe at the end of it, that we look at and say, hey, is this really worth our time? Because it's not really in the strategic plan. It does create revenue, it does create profit, but again, we're trying to streamline, we're trying to be efficient. So, and then of course, prioritize. So our capacity, as we have learned in this business, and if any of you are in business for yourself, you already know that you have a capacity. You have a certain amount of time that you can do things, right? And so with the actions that we do choose, we got to prioritize them and say, hey, this is the top one. This is the one that we're going to put 90% of our effort to. This one is, it's important, but it's still B. And since it's B, that means I'm only going to put 10% of my effort to it because it's not the top priority. So we got to prioritize. And then build partnerships. We can't do it by ourselves. We need help. We're not the subject matter experts for every single thing. And so, we have to reach out to other people to partner with. That's something that they've always taught us from the get-go, is partner, 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 until you get to a position where now you become kind of the big brother, big sister, so to speak, and then you still partnering, but you're bringing the partners on versus you coming to get partnerships. So those are the financial stability things that we wanted to highlight really quickly.
So that's the end. I would say that you should read this. We have not gotten through the environmental scan, which basically helped with providing the context for the strategic priorities and the goals underneath and the metrics to measure them. Now, we are going to send out a post-evaluation after the mix and mingle. So the mix and mingle is April 9th from 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You should already have it on your calendar. If you do not have the Zoom link, you should get that from Tisha, and she will follow up with you. We want to know, what we did, what you like, what we need to do to improve, but we also, really important that you complete this evaluation, is check 2 or 3 goals you would like to support in the strategic plan. Where do you see your expertise? Where do you see your area? If you are a writer, it might be that you're helping us write grants or helping us write response to government contracts so we can get them, and then we could pay you for that. It might be compliance. Oh, I love helping to make sure people can access our learning. You might be helping create that checklist, and it's not something that you can do over time. It might be we're trying to get certified, or we need to have job descriptions written. So how would you help write? Maybe you're good at finance, and you could help with creating a report around our financial goals. So the thing is what we would like you to do is take some time to check 2 or 3 of the goals. It may be also, I have to say one more thing, innovation plan for our ed tech pieces. What awards should we be applying for? How can we meet those standards of awards and innovation? And so check 2 or 3 of the goals you would like to support in the strategic plan. And then we did ask for your name, first and last name. We would like you to complete that by April 11th. And Tisha will follow up with you if you did not complete, whether you don't put anything or something, but we would like all of you to complete this post-evaluation. I do want to hit a little bit on the environmental scan. The first 3 pieces here, ed tech industry, motivation, personal growth, and essential tools, today's education. In the environmental scan, we looked at industry. We are growing as an ed tech. People want ed tech. They know, especially after the pandemic, what is happening. Hybrid learning, blended learning, asynchronous learning, synchronous learning is up and it's coming, right? And it's a $1 billion industry by 2027. And then we looked at how people or humans are motivated by learning and growth. They are motivated if it's something that's going to help reskill them or upskill them. Okay. Also, society wants to reskill and upskill other than going to university level type of courses. Okay. And then we need the essential tools for today's education. And what does that look like? Is that gamification? Is it artificial intelligence? Is it virtual reality? And what pieces can we start developing and learning about? And then that brings us to new emerging technologies in the environmental scan. We did look a little bit about what are some new emerging technologies that we really want to focus on. And we're learning that work-based learning, even though we're opening a brick and mortar, which is going to provide, but it's going to be a hybrid experience where people can come in person, but yet it will be all equipped for a hybrid experience as well, to have an in-class, but also a virtual class experience. And then accessibility, diversity, and equity. If we did not hit this, we're in trouble. Accessibility is at the forefront for the federal government as well as local government. They are now realizing a lot of the stuff that they're doing is not accessible to everybody. And so we need to make sure that our products and services are accessible. When we did our environmental scan, diversity, equity, inclusion is such a key thing. We're talking about it everywhere, things that are happening in Florida, Texas that you hear about diversity and inclusion. And so all of our work, we need to make sure that is aligned to those DEI standards. These are just some of the additional things that you'll read in the book about artificial intelligence, gamification, and immersive technology, and the different types of engagement pieces that can be used for e-learning. We also did an environmental scan for the brick and mortar or the building that we would be looking into to have the digital learning lab. Why did we decide to go to a digital learning lab and do something in person? So you'll hear about the environmental scan of our DC area and what the goals are to making that digital learning lab happen, and why it's something that would be lucrative to expand our portfolio of services. Again, I want to thank you all for listening, and hopefully you'll be joining us for April 9th from 5 to 6. We do know it's a holiday, but we hope that it'll be an hour where we can just basically, you can go back and forth with us, ask us questions about the strategic plan so you can understand the goals. Again, there will be a post-evaluation that will go out, where we would like for you to complete, everyone to complete, regardless if you're going to sign up for a goal or not. But we like that post-evaluation done April 11th. It will go out after the mix and mingle. Again, we'd like to thank you for supporting Bunifu and the work that we're doing. We want to continue to grow. As we're growing, we're getting tired, so we need support from our strategic partners to help us to grow and get better.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. And we look forward to seeing you on the 9th and beyond.